Cruz. I'm moving to another segment, and in this segment we'll be discussing the political situation in Egypt. There's been a lot of turmoil and uncertainty ever since the 25th of January uprising, and with the latest situation, how is it moving, and how is the opposition also responding to what is happening, or the performance of the government? For this topic, we're joined today by Mr. Hossam Nassar. He's a poet and former Undersecretary of the Ministry of Culture. Hello, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Hossam. How would you describe the current political scene in Egypt?
It's a total mess. I mean, politically, in order to act politically, you have to have an organized structure. And this is needed from the inside and needed from the outside as well. The three most organized entities, politically speaking, in Egypt are the Brethren, the Salafists, and the army. The rest is still
Developing.
trying to find their way. And actually, one of the mistakes of the uprising or the so-called revolution is to dismantle the NDP. The NDP was not that corrupt, and it has 3 million members back then. And actually it was managed by 3 or 4 people. They're all in jail now. But the rest is having the organized structure with the deeply rooted family and nerval system of Egypt. So the Brethren, one of the very few calls right after the uprising was to let the liberals go and ask for the dismantling of NDP. And we kept warning the liberals, hey, I mean, back off, right? You'd be left alone with no organized political system. So it's better that you team up with the leftovers of the NDP. But they have been given the trap and they have fallen for it. So unfortunately, we don't have an opposition. We're having an opposition on the spatial channels and on the streets. But we don't have an organized structure. We have began to see the symptoms of a liberal opposition political system, not at the parliamentary election, but at the presidential election, when there was extreme polarization between the people. People are going, most of the liberals went for Shafiq, the others went for Morsi, in addition to some lemon juice breakers. So that was the beginning of the political system getting in shape. However, with the marginalization and oppression of the Brethren, the beginning of the shaping of the political system started to unfold again. So the Brethren is intentionally targeting not to have a political liberal opposition party that is being capable of giving them a one-to-one. So unfortunately, we are left with no choice, politically speaking, but to choose between the military institution, which seems to be the salvation for all of Egypt now, or to continue with the Brethren. Because having a political system or a political party to gain grounds in Egypt would take at least 2 to 3 years. And this is what we have been saying after the uprising. Give the military the break in order to create a new political order, especially after dismantling the NDP. But nobody was listening. They were living the euphoria of the so-called
democracy
revolution, right? Without really getting into the nitty-gritties of the Egyptian society. But now they are living the moment of truth, right? They have discovered that we have no political system to interact with the public of Egypt. So having a scenario after getting rid of the Brethren is the $1 billion question. Nobody knows.
So fairly speaking, if we're assessing the situation by the government and the political ruling party in Egypt, almost 1 year, and do you think they're working hard to serve the country and they're incompetent, or are they working hard to serve their agendas but they're competent?
No, both of what you asked. They are totally incompetent because they've been living under the table, right? They have no experience whatsoever managing a country with all its problematic issues. And again, they're not really worried about developing the country. Their only worry now is to get themselves in power, in preparation for the brethrenization, right? They will go for it. Now they are totally incapable of doing that because they are having a war against the state of Egypt, and the state of Egypt is the longest serving state in the world. So taking a decision to go against the army and the police and the judicial system and the mass communication and the culture and the press, you will go nowhere. But they are dreaming. Maybe they are waiting for another historical mistake that would enable them to fulfill their plot. But their plot politically cannot go, especially that they are a minority. Politically again, they are a minority.
Today or previously?
They have always been a minority. The votes that were given to them were given to them on the propaganda that was being broadcasted, that they are bearded guys, they know God, they are not corrupt, in comparison with the most corrupt system that was ever found in the world, which is totally hocus pocus.
So what you're saying is that in the upcoming parliamentary elections, this would not be the case, and the probability of having the minority would be going towards electing Brotherhood members?
No, because they will forge the election. They know for sure that they have lost their public sympathy. And in any fair election, they will not get more than 15% of the seats or of the votes. But they know that, and they knew it at the time of the constitution, the new constitution. They knew it, and that's why.
But you got 20% in 2010. You got 20% in the previous parliamentary elections.
No, they got 70%. The Islamists over 70%.
No, I mean even in the era of the former president Hosni Mubarak.
Yeah, but that was because people were not satisfied with the system.
Still, people did not know the reality of the Muslim Brotherhood.
They did not live the reality of the brethren. So they were, living the emotions of wanting to change and seeing this organized structure as the only salvation or the only solution.
If we put the political aspect aside, if we're looking at an assessment for the Egyptian citizen, now people are divided between selecting an Islamist figure because they are belonging to religion, which are a lot of people without looking at the performance of the government and without looking at the political assessment, they are directed towards having an Islamist party, and that's one side. The other side, it's more or less poor versus rich, educated versus uneducated. So this sort of division would yet yield to a majority to the Muslim Brotherhood, don't you think?
Never. That was the case a year ago. But now, ask any poor guy in the street, right? You will start hearing, curse words. Because, they cannot serve the poor. They cannot serve even the Muslim ideologists, right? We have discovered that this is a total lie, the biggest lie in history, that these people are totally incompetent and they're not even religious. Remember Wanis and Bilkini and they're not even religious. They are claiming to be religious, just to use the religion as a tool to get over the power and using democracy as a one-off thing. They are preparing to be there forever.
Yes, Mr. Hossam. So if we know that the next parliamentary elections are going to be forged, or how would we stand up for this? How would you prevent this?
Rebelling against having another revolution. There is no other option.
But wouldn't it be more violent?
Not necessarily violent. Liberals are not violent by nature.
The other side is?
Definitely. They are the masters of violence, and they have managed to infiltrate the liberals with some other factions whom we don't know. We don't know these people. It could be belonging to brethren, and they could be provoking violence. But the liberals, by nature, are not violent because they are liberal, right? Mainly the ideologists, right, would go for serving his own radical approach by violence. But the liberal who's open to all kinds of ideas is not violent. And we are not preaching for violence.
So in your previous talk, you said that the only solution is either the military solution or to remain to
The military
currency.
is not the solution, but the military will be the decisive factor. When you get masses in the streets, right? Finally, you would need some solid power. Say, thank you very much, brethren. Go home or go to jail. You will need that military power,
Yes.
military will,
Yes.
to serve the public in exactly the same fashion that happened during the uprising,
Yes.
right? The army backed the people in the street and went to Mubarak and said, thank you, Mr. President, go to Sharm el-Sheikh. We are dreaming for this, we are expecting this. But the aftermath of having the military, and we will be hearing again, Yaskut, Yaskut, this defamed kind of slogan. Of course, the public now is much more aware, right, of the importance of the military, and they are much more aware that they were not actually being ruled militarily during Mubarak. We wish it was like that, right?
Yes.
But it was, again, one of the bad propagandas from the brethren trying to marginalize the army away. They said, oh, they have been ruling us for the past 60 years, which never happened. Actually, Nassar took the uniform, the military uniform in 1955, and he never wore it again. Sadat wore it, right? Mubarak did not wear it. But Nassar, since 1955, was totally civilizing Egypt by Al-Ittihad al-Ishtiraki and having a party and looking civil. So we were not being ruled military.
Yes, Mr. Hossam Nassar, the former Undersecretary of the Ministry of Culture, thank you very much for being
Thank
with
you,
us
my
today
pleasure.
on Nile Cruise.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, sir.
Thank you. Now it's time to go out for a break, so stay tuned.